Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hurdy Burke Internet Broadcast Network. And we are continuing with the Power Hour with Danny L. Smith. If you're interested in joining our Facebook group, check out the Power Hour broadcast with Danny L. Smith. We're on podcast number 11, and we're going to transition tonight into Start with the Why. Danny's been reviewing these notes, and he's going to be dropping some new information on us. So, Danny, take it away.
Hey, Hurdy. Thanks.
You're welcome.
This is I started down a different path last night with where I thought I was going tonight. I do have some more things to get into around give and take. In the book that we've covered we covered for 2 weeks or 3 weeks? I guess 2 weeks. And there's still some stuff there. I tell you, I am struggling. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast last week. I was talking to somebody this afternoon about the give and take. And I haven't gone into the book to see what Grant says, but what I'm wondering is the people that are in the upper third success in that area that are givers, did they start off as matchers? And as they gave more, they got more, were they able to move into a more of a pure giving mode? I wonder about that because, me, I'm pretty transparent here. So for clarity, I struggle. I give a lot. It probably doesn't sound like a very humble statement, but I give a lot, but I have to be mindful of where I'm giving, that I'm not giving too much. And the book talked about that. But because I've got to make a living, there needs to be some matching going on, or God needs to be bringing the business in from another area. If I'm giving in one area and I'm not giving to matchers, I need to be getting from somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you and I talk about this last week a little bit?
A little bit.
That's a big deal because you can give, and you can give yourself right out of business. So, having said that, that path led me into why. I was actually getting ready for a meeting this morning, and Brian Henson, one of the members of that group, said, "Hey, Danny, can we talk tomorrow about why?" And I said, "What do you mean, why?" And I thought I knew what he means. He says, what a person's why is. He said, "You got something you can talk to on that?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." So we did. It was a great discussion with a group of 8-9 people this morning. But specifically here, the book by Simon Sinek, Start with Why. Now, I pulled out 3 different books to take with me last night. Thought about 2 more today during the day, just out of the blue, that deals with some of the why questions. But Simon Sinek has a YouTube. It's a TED Talk that's on YouTube. Recommend, Hurdy, you haven't seen it, I know, but anybody listening, if you haven't seen, it's the 17-minute TED Talk on YouTube, Start with Why. There's a few of them at different time slots, and people have done some different funny things there, but listen to the whole thing, the Start with Why. And he contends that most of us he has a thing called the golden circle. Okay, that most of us we do things because of what and how, not because of a why, and that we start with what. Got some background noise going on here with somebody. Hold on just 1 second. Don't know where that is. That most of us start with what. What are we doing? And we get, it's kind of like that features, advantage, benefit things. We try to sell features. We try to sell advantages, and really people only buy benefits. The features and advantages are how the benefits get take place, but people really don't care when it comes right down to it, how it's going to get done, what's getting done, just that the benefit is there of getting it done. So it's the same thing with the golden circle, as Simon Sinek discusses in his book. The center of that is the why. Most of us start out here with the how and the what. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs fail, because they're good technicians. They're good with social media, so they become social media consultants. They know what to do. They're good loan officers, so they decide to start their own business. They're good engineers. They start their own engineering firm maybe. They're good CPAs. They start their own CPA firm. They're good chiropractors, so they leave an existing chiropractic firm to do their own, but they know how to do it. They don't know, or they know what to do in the technician role, but maybe not in the real why. They don't get they haven't sought out why are they doing something. CRM. Most people do, they take on a CRM. I use Zoho. Got a couple of friends that use Salesforce. HubSpot has one. Microsoft has their Microsoft Dynamics CRM. You look into all of those companies, and they, in their training you how to set up a CRM, they're talking first about why you want it. You've got to know why you want a CRM, and because the how and the what in a CRM will wear you out. Okay, you'll wonder, what am I doing? And this is crazy. You've got to know your why. Sinek uses an example of some well-known figures, the Wright brothers. Okay, we got some. Hey, Herdy, you got something clicking going on.
Really? I'm being awful. Here, I'll just mute myself till I come on. So there might be something going on, but I don't know what. So hang on.
Yeah.
Let me.
Okay. Thanks. Sorry about that. Yeah. So by the way, we do have the Q&A working. If anybody wants to ask a question, hit *6. Follow the lady's directions. *6. As an example that Sinek uses in the book, what was the Wright brothers? They discovered flying. They were first to fly. What was their why? Their why was, now, what was their why? Why did they win? Why were they the first to fly? Well, at the same time that they were trying to fly, now these were some guys that owned a bicycle shop. They owned a bicycle shop, and they were trying to fly. Same time, there was a guy from, I forget what university he was. He'd been working on flying. The War Department gave him $40,000. Now, back in the early 1900s, that $40,000 a whole lot of money. It's a lot of money now, but it's a whole lot more money back then. He was trying to be the first to fly. The Wright brothers beat him. They had a very simple why. They wanted to fly. That was it. They just wanted to fly. And Steve Jobs. What's happened with Steve Jobs? Or Apple. Why has Apple done what it did? What was Steve Jobs' why? They explain in there. He wanted to change the world. He got fired from Apple, for 8 or 9 years? They brought him back. He wanted to change the world. That was his why. We all have to know, really, we don't have to, but things change when we understand our why. And if we don't understand our why and we're trying to understand it, it becomes it can be a bit of a big of a challenge and a bit of a struggle. And if we're struggling with some things, we might be struggling with it because we don't know what or why is. So that's the little bit of the intro to that. He uses here in the book I'm going to just work through this a little bit. Turn to some notes here. Hurdy, what do you think about that?
I think if you don't have a why, you're going to have a hard time getting. If you don't have a why, you're not going to have a purpose. That's what I think about that.
Do you agree that a lot of people just go through
life without a why? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's remember Andre Agassi?
Yep.
Remember who
he is? He's a famous tennis player, won a lot of championships, that he wrote his book and said he hated tennis or something like that.
He sure did. He opens up on the first page of his book, and the name of the book is Open. He identifies who he is. He's in New York, getting ready to play in his last U.S. Open, that he's a tennis player. He's married to a famous tennis player. And then he says, I hate tennis with a dark and secret passion, and I always have. But his why for a long time was that he was trying to satisfy his dad. And then he got to the point where he was so good, he just had to keep it going. But he always hated it. And to the point what's that?
So are you saying you can have the wrong why?
You can have he knew his why.
Yeah.
He hated tennis. He was very, very good, made millions and millions of dollars.
Unbelievable.
And he had to have a shot. But his back and hip pain was so bad that he had some kind of in his spine before every tennis match, and that allowed him to get out there and play. But he knew what his why was. His why, he wanted to be the best, even though he hated the game. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I mean, I first heard that from a pastor, Matt Carter, at Austin Stone, did a 3-sermon series on the theology of work, and he opened up with that story. Bought the book, read the book, incredible book. The boys, the kid was, as a kid, he was pretty talented, but so was his brother and sister, and they dropped out, but he wanted to please his dad. His dad bought a house, built a court in the back. His dad, I think, worked for a tennis club or did something, wasn't a pro, I don't think, but he wanted to please his dad. That was his why. That was what drove him for so long. Then he got good at it. Isn't that amazing that he hated it? What Sinek says in the book is that we normally start off with what we do or how we do something, but we don't understand or why. Company that a friend of mine is the owner and president, part owner and president of, they brought in a consultant last year to discover their why, and meeting with a group of 15 to 20 upper and middle level managers every other week, and then non-managers every other week. It took them 4 months going through the book to get the why nailed down. And one of the things that the consultant did was they start off just the first 2 or 3 weeks just talking about the book, people reading the book and discussing the book. Then they started trying to work on their company's why. And the consultant would write down okay, here's your why. Test it for a week. for 2 weeks. I'll be back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, he's back with a different group the next week. So he did the same with them. And everybody started realizing that, okay, we think we know why what we're doing here with this company, but we're realizing that we really don't. We're not in agreement with the why. And it took a little over 4 months for them to come down to really what the company's why was. But they were able to see each other live it out and see what was going on. The president of the company, his why, it ended up being that the president, everybody agreed that what was really driving them, that started with the president, is that he wanted for everybody that dealt with the company to have a great experience. Vendors, customers, employees, even competitors. And he's expanded this into the community in the last year. But a company has that ability to test their why with a lot of people looking on. Herdy, you and I, we work primarily just, one-on-one, with me, myself, and I, you, yourself, and
yep,
whatever. Yep. And so it's harder to test that, but we can do that. We can go through and just, okay, I think my why is this. We write out the statement, then we start paying attention to it. Brian, the guy I mentioned that last night with the group this morning, talked to him about an hour ago, and he said that all day long he's been thinking about his why and going, you know what, I thought that was my why, but maybe it's not. And, I need to really get this why thing down. But it's really easy to put it on a piece of paper, but to start testing it and even asking other people what our why is, because too many times it's really what we think is a why is a what or a how. So, Apple, Sinek here in the book says that if Apple was like everybody else, they would say that their why is, we make great computers. They are beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? That's what most people do. When you look at their ads, you're going to look at the next ad that you see from another other computer company. That's primarily what they're saying. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Apple, though, here's how they communicated. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. And we happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? The interesting thing about this book, Start With Why, and Sinek, is that he says this is not opinion, this is biology. Our need to belong is not rational, but is a constant that exists across all people and all cultures. It is a feeling we get when those around us share our values and beliefs. When we feel like we belong, we feel connected, we feel safe. As humans, we crave the feeling. We seek it out no matter where we go. We trust those with whom we are able to perceive common values or beliefs. We want to be around people and companies. I'm going to bring this back to us here in a minute. We want to be around people and companies who are like us and share our beliefs. When a company clearly communicates, I will side note there, when a person clearly communicates their why, and we believe what they believe, then we will sometimes go to extraordinary lengths to include those products or brands in our life. This is not because they are better, but because markers or symbols of the values and beliefs because they are. It's not because they are better, but because they're markers and symbols of the beliefs and values we hold dear. We are drawn to leaders and organizations are good at communicating what they believe. So bring this into our own world. 2 or 3 thoughts going on here. One, the Sally Hogshead Fascinating Assessment we're going to be talking about in the bonus round of the Business Warriors group. Is that next week?
Yes, it's 29th.
That's exactly what she's talking about. That when you understand how you fascinate other people, when you understand how you fascinate other people, how the world sees you, things start changing. That's what Sinek's saying here. Okay, a trust emerges. Okay, it's a biological thing. It's a connection there. And that's why I believe it's so important that as we meet with people, that we learn about that other person. The more we learn about that other person that we maybe would like to build a referral partnership with, where we're referring each other, before I can ever refer you, I've got to know more of what you do. I've got to have a good idea of who you are, what your why is. When I understand what your why is, I understand who you are, a connection is made there. I stick with Apple phones because they work. I tell you, I know an Android, Samsung phone will work also. I tried to change off an Apple a couple of years ago. I felt like I was jumping ship on something. So, that's to a product. To a person, it can be the same way. This company here in town, DMS, I was talking about a while ago. Don't know if I mentioned their name before, but DMS, they have people that love their culture. They make good money, but they love the culture there. And in engineering manufacturing, that's evidently pretty special. I understand here in the next 30 days they've won a culture award, for manufacturing in the Central Texas area. So, again, this is opinion, not biology. He does get into an area here where there's this whole issue around manipulation versus loyalty, and people selling in sales and marketing, they try to manipulate people into buying. You don't see, you see sales going on a whole lot on computers and phones and such. You don't see too much on the Apple side, do you? Everybody kind of sticks with it. They pay what there's not those trickeries and I'm using Sinek's words here. It's more of a culture type thing. People that buy Apple understand there's just a connection there. And that connection becomes the same as we build loyalty out in the marketplace, that people come to know you, like you, and trust you. Got some stuff in here about definition of trust. A great chapter on how a tipping point tips. The difference between a fad and an idea that changes an industry and society forever, and about innovators. And I really do believe that we're all innovators in one way, form, or fashion, and that if we're entrepreneurs, we have to be innovative. He says here, the goal of a business should not be to simply sell to anyone who wants what they have, the majority, but rather to find people who believe what you believe, what he calls the left side of the bell curve. And in the book, he draws out that. even their willingness to pay a premium to use your product or service says more about them than it does about you and your product. Get enough of the people on the left side of the bell curve, and they encourage the rest to follow. The bell curve is, he's talking about innovation there, and we all want people to adapt to us and to start buying. The more people that start adapting to us and talking about us, and then the more they talk about it, the more other people are going to hear about it and trust us. One of the reasons that we should all be getting people that have had that have used us, and liked us, and trust us to write a LinkedIn recommendation. As you were talking about that last week in your Lunch and Learn, not talking about those endorsement things, a real recommendation that they write and put on there.
Right.
Let's see. Start with why, but know how. He says, energy motivates, but charisma inspires. Energy is easy to see, measure, and copy. All great leaders have charisma because all great leaders have clarity of why, an underlying belief in a purpose or cause bigger than themselves. I think our why has to be bigger than who we are. And most of us cannot really articulate a why. We think we can, maybe, until we start trying to do it, and until somebody that knows how to ask questions digs in deeper. It can actually, the process can be a little bit uncomfortable. But the more we know our why, the more we work on knowing our why, thinking about the law of awareness, which is what our second or third podcast, we talked about the law of awareness. The more we get into, the more we become aware of even that we don't know how to articulate our why. I mean, that can give you, as my dad would say, that give you the EBGBs. that we don't know our why. If we don't know, if we can't articulate our why, and it doesn't get, well, I just know it. I just feel it. That's not good enough. It's really not. You're cheating yourself. Anybody that's listening to this, if you can't articulate it, you're just cheating yourself. Because the better you can articulate it and learn to articulate it, and maybe the person that is very fluent with his words seems to articulate it, but if you haven't dealt through this, you haven't dealt it. You can't do it. You can't do it from the deepest manner. We can't all go all the way deep, maybe, but articulating our why. I'm getting ready to start a group side of this just right now. I've got a book sitting right here called The Call by Os Guinness, and I'm gonna start going through that book with anybody that wants to. I'll put out some stuff on it. Probably a phone mastermind discussion, around this book. Probably an evening thing for 45 minutes or an hour. I pulled that book out a while ago when I was talking to Brian, and he was saying something reminded me of this book. When pulled it out, he's never read the book. I've got notes in the book from back in 2008 when I read it and went through it with a group of guys, but what is our why? And what, the struggle of understanding our why makes work a whole lot easier. So I'll wrap it up. He says here, those who know why need those who know how. The pessimists are usually right, but it's the optimists that changes the world. Most people in the world are how types. Most people are quite functional in the real world and can do their jobs and do very well. Some may be very successful, even make millions of dollars, but they will never build billion-dollar businesses or change the world without someone inspired by their vision and knowledge to make it reality. Most Y types end up as starving visionaries, people with all the answers but never accomplishing much themselves. There's many of us that have a good vision. I say us, just people. There's many people that have a good vision, but they don't know how to get it carried out. That's why they need a team. We've talked about this a little bit on these before. You and I've had one-on-ones about this in Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. He talks about the inner circle. We have to have a circle of people to help us with our whys. I'm going to wrap it up with that. Start with Why, Simon Sinek. There's another book I'm reading that I started this weekend. It's about extreme ownership, about 2 ex-Navy SEALs. They were very successful in their endeavors as Navy SEALs. For a few years now, they've been business consultants. They've written this book. They describe a battle that they had primarily in Afghanistan, describe a battle, then the principle they learned, the leadership principle they learned from that battle, and then a business interaction where they use that principle that they learned in battle to help somebody's business. Very interesting book. They've got an example in there about why. That they were helping a business. They were trying to help a group of salespeople. They couldn't get it done, and they started delving into the why. Nobody knew the company's why. There'd been some changes with their comp plan. Turned out it ruffled everybody. They went to the CEO, asked the CEO, what was this? Why did you do this? After her getting unbristled, she explained it, and they said, well, that makes sense. You need to tell them. So she came in the next morning, told them, this is why I did this, and this is and explained the strategy around it. Everybody's attitude changed, and the salespeople, everything went well. After that, they accomplished what they were trying to accomplish there over the coming year with rolling out a new product. But it was only after they understood the CEO's why of what she did. So, anything to wrap us up with, Herdy?
Well, I was going to say one thing, and that is I think if we start with our why, I think we have to understand that we're the difference between have to and want to. I know a lot of people that have to jobs and have to tasks, but I think what makes our business exciting and our why is that we want to. That's my thought.
Have to and want to. We have to do business with some people, even though we don't necessarily want to, but because we have to, we need that money from that. I get it. Right. Yeah. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just saying that our why needs to have a want-to attitude. If we're running a business and we don't know our why and we always feel like we have to do something, I don't think we've discovered our why yet. Oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah. Good point. I love what I do. I want to help others. I want to educate. I want to research. I love what I do. Yes, there's times it's frustrating. Yes, there's tasks we don't like to do, but I want to do what I do. I love what I do. I know my why. I want to challenge you on that a little bit, not right now, but I don't doubt that you know your why. I want to help you get deeper into it. Cool.